In this class, we'll try to learn about pituitary gland, that is anterior pituitary gland. The learning objectives of this class would be appreciate the importance of anterior pituitary as vital endocrine gland for regulation of many important body functions. List the hormones secreted from anterior pituitary and name the cells that produce them. Draw a schematic diagram of depicting mechanism of action of growth hormone. Realize the importance of circadian rhythm of growth hormone secretion. Understand feedback regulation of growth hormone secretion. Describe the functions of growth hormone and functions mediated by insulin like growth factor, that is IGF-1. Name the diseases caused by growth hormone excess and deficiency and list the important features of these disorders. Mention the regulation of secretion, function, and dysfunction of prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and gonadotropins. Pituitary gland or hypophysis controls the many aspects of human physiology, starting from the birth, that is the delivery of the fetus and feeding of the baby, and the growth and development of the individual to adulthood and also reproduction. It controls various aspects of metabolism. It contributes to regulation of blood volume and pressure, body's responses to stress. Therefore, dysfunctions of pituitary gland results in various clinico-pathological disorders. The pituitary gland is situated at the base of the brain in the sella turcica, a small cavity on sphenoid bone. It consists of two lobes, anterior and posterior lobes. Intermediate lobe of pituitary is present in many species. It is rudimentary in human beings. Anterior and posterior lobes of pituitary are two separate and distinct glands. Anterior pituitary is rich in various endocrine cells, hence anterior pituitary is called as adenohypophysis. The posterior pituitary contains neurons that secrete hormones, hence posterior pituitary is called as neurohypophysis. So this diagram is showing the anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. So this is anterior and this is posterior pituitary. Embryologically, anterior and posterior pituitaries develop from different sources. Anterior pituitary develops as an invagination from Rathke's pouch and neurohypophysis develops as a part of developing hypothalamus that later merges with Rathke's pouch. Later, endocrine tissue and anterior lobe becomes purely glandular, that is adenohypophysis, and posterior lobe becomes neuroendocrine, that is neurohypophysis. Blood supply to the pituitary achieved by means of superior and inferior hypophyseal arteries. Superior hypophyseal artery terminates in rich capillary network in the median eminence, from where long hypophyseal portal vessels arises and descends down to the pituitary stalk to end in capillaries in the anterior lobe. As the major hypophyseal vessels start and end with capillaries, the arrangement is called as hypophyseal portal circulation. The inferior hypophyseal artery supplies the blood to the posterior lobe from where short hypophyseal portal vessels arise and terminate locally. This is the diagram showing the blood supply to the pituitary. Okay, so where the anterior pituitary is supplied by superior hypophyseal artery and they're going to form the uh, the the portal anastomosis, whereas the posterior hypothalamus is pituitary is supplied by inferior hypophyseal artery. Anterior pituitary has extensive network of sinusoidal capillaries. The endothelium of capillaries are fenestrated. The endocrine cells contain numerous granules that store hormones. Hormones are secreted by exocytosis of these granules, following which they immediately enter circulation through the capillaries. Coming to anterior pituitary, six important hormones secreted from the anterior pituitary. They are growth hormone, or also called as somatotropin, thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, and prolactin. The other hormones like beta lipoprotein, melanocyte stimulating hormone, and interleukins. Antirespiratory are mostly polypeptides, luteinizing hormone FSH, TSH are glycoproteins and containing two subunits, that is alpha and beta subunits, similar to that of SCG secreted from the placenta. The subunit of these hormones have a similar amino acid sequence. Therefore, beta subunit confirms specificity to the hormones. Secretion of anterior pituitary is controlled by hypothalamic hormones. Anterior pituitary hormones in turn control secretion of major endocrine glands of the body except pancreas. They also control growth and development of all aspects of metabolism. Therefore, diseases of anterior pituitary manifest with widespread and extensive abnormalities. So this is the diagram showing how the anterior pituitary is going to control the activity of other hormones. Okay, where the growth hormone is going to control the growth, uh, the CRH, which is uh, produced from the hypothalamus. It controls uh, the release of ACTH and the adrenal cortex. The TRH released from the hypothalamus helps in the production of TSH from the thyroid, TSH from the anterior pituitary, and thyroid hormones from the thyroid gland, whereas the FSH, LH, which are produced from the anterior pituitary, they will control oogenesis and spermatogenesis, whereas the prolactin is going to help in the production of the milk, galactogenesis. So this is another diagram showing the hypothalamo pituitary and target organ axis. Okay, so you can see the GHRH and somatostatin controls the growth hormone. Growth hormone acts on the somatic tissue and the liver, helps in the control of growth and development and metabolism. TRH from hypothalamus increases the TSH from anterior pituitary, which in turn increases the thyroid, which helps in the uh, T3 and T4 secretion. The CRH from the hypothalamus increases the ACTH from the pituitary, and in turn it is going to act on adrenal cortex to produce cortisol. The gonadotropin releasing hormone increases the LH or FSH, which acts on the gonads, which controls the gonadal hormone secretion. Whereas the prolactin factor or dopamine, which is going to inhibit prolactin secretion, which is in turn going to act on the breast for the lactogenesis. The cell types of anterior pituitary are divided into two broad categories, chromophobes and chromophils. The chromophil cells are subdivided into acidophils, that is alpha cells, or basophils or beta cells. The acidophils are the cells that stain with acidic dyes. The basophils are the cells that stain with basic dyes. There are five types of chromophil cells: somatotrophs that secrete growth hormone, lactotroph that secretes prolactin, corticotrophs that secrete ACTH and beta lipotropin, thyrotrophs that secretes TSH, gonadotrophs that secretes LH and FSH. So this is histology of the anterior pituitary. So here the acidophils and the basophils and the chromophobes are shown. So these are the percentage of different cells in the anterior pituitary. Somatotrophs are around 40 to 50%. They produce growth hormone. Lactotrophs around 10 to 25% produce prolactin. Corticotrophs 10 to 20%, which are going to produce ACTH, and the gonadotrophs, which are basophilic, they are going to produce LH and FSH. Coming to growth hormone, it is secreted from the somatotrophs that constitute around 50% of the total endocrine cells of the anterior pituitary. As growth hormone promotes postnatal somatic growth, it is also known as somatotrophin. It does not stimulate the fetal growth. It maintains normal lean body and bone mass in adults. It has many metabolic effects. Human growth hormone is a polypeptide containing 191 amino acids. It has a structural resemblance with a human prolactin and placental lactogen. There are two forms of growth hormone. 22K growth hormone, that is molecular weight is having 22,000, that constitutes around 90%, and 20K growth hormone, which constitutes around 10% of the total circulating uh, growth hormone. Growth hormone is synthesized as a larger prohormone in rough endoplasmic reticulum. The prohormone consists of N-terminal signal peptide and 191 amino acid peptide hormone. Subsequently, the signal peptide is removed when the prohormone traverses through Golgi apparatus. Finally, the hormone is packaged and stored in the granules of somatotrophs. The two hypothalamic hormones control the synthesis of growth hormone, that is, growth hormone releasing hormone and somatostatin. Growth hormone releasing hormone stimulates and somatostatin inhibits the synthesis of growth hormone. The GHRH promotes the growth hormone synthesis by stimulating the expression of growth hormone gene in the somatotrophs. Thyroid stimulating hormone also stimulates expression of GH gene. Therefore, patient with thyroid hormone gene deficiency also develops growth hormone deficiency. The normal basal plasma growth hormone concentration ranges from 0 to 5 nanograms per ml in adults. The rate of growth hormone secretion primarily depends on the balance between the action of GHRH and somatostatin on somatotrophs of the anterior pituitary. The GHRH stimulates and somatostatin inhibits the growth hormone secretion. The growth hormone in turn controls its own secretion by feedback mechanisms. The growth hormone has negative feedback effect on GRH, GHRH and positive feedback on somatostatin secretion. The growth hormone stimulates production of insulin-like growth factor 1, or it is also called as somatomedin C, which in turn has a negative feedback effect on the growth hormone secretion. Insulin-like growth factor 1 has effects on both pituitary and hypothalamus level. Various factors regulate growth hormone secretion by influencing secretion of GHRH, somatostatin, and IGF-1. So this is feedback regulation of the growth hormone secretion. Okay. Where growth hormone releasing hormone, it increases the growth hormone secretion. Okay, so and which increases the somatomedin C levels in the liver. They are going to in turn inhibit the production of the GHRH and growth hormone respectively by negative feedback mechanism. Whereas somatostatin, they decreases the uh, growth hormone production, okay, and also by somatomedin secretion. Okay, but these hormones, they, I mean, in turn, they stimulate the production of somatostatin from the hypothalamus. So these are some of the factors which are affecting the increase in the secretion. The most important stimuli is hypoglycemia, as it occurs in exercise and fasting. Hyperaminoacidemia, that occurs after high protein meal. Hormones such as estrogens, androgen, acetylcholine, serotonin, and glucagon increases the growth hormone secretion. Stress like fever, surgery, any psychological trauma, puberty, stage 4 sleep, drugs like L-DOPA, alpha receptor agonist, apomorphine, enkephalins, they increase the growth hormone secretion, whereas some of the factors, that is increase in the glucose and free fatty acid levels, hormones like cortisol, growth hormone, medroxyprogesterone, REM sleep, obesity and pregnancy, they are going to decrease the secretion of growth hormone. It is not clearly known why growth hormone secretion occurs in episodes or bursts throughout the day and when growth occurs slowly over the months and years. The pulsatile secretion becomes more prominent in midnight, especially within the first few hours of the deep sleep. Approximately 70% of the total 24 hours growth hormone secretion occurs during slow wave sleep. This is a diagram showing, how the growth hormone is secreted throughout life. You can see the spurt of growth hormone during the pre-puberty and the pubertal levels. So there are diurnal variation in the growth hormone secretion where there will be spurts of growth hormone secretion in the noon and during the midnight. The mechanism of action of growth hormone, it has, as we know, it has three domains, that is a large extracellular domain, transmembrane domain and the large cytoplasmic domain. The growth hormone receptors has two subunits and there is a binding site on each subunit. When growth hormone binds to one receptor subunit, the binding site on another subunit, other subunit is attracted and the subunits come close to each other. This produces a homodimer of growth hormone receptors. So this dimerization is essential component of receptor activation as it initiates the activation of number of enzyme cascades including JAK-STAT pathway of the hormone action. So this is by mechanism by which the growth hormone is going to activate the various pathway. So when hormone binds with the receptor, okay, so it is going to initiate the uh, the JAK pathway, which is attached to the receptor, and it is going to cause activation of different secondary messenger system. Okay, so one is phospholipase, and the other mechanism is through STAT, SHC, and IRS molecular pathways. Physiological actions of growth hormone. Growth hormone is an anabolic hormone which with a profound short-term metabolic effects and long-term growth promoting effects. Acute metabolic effects of growth hormone like lipolysis in adipose tissue, decreased glucose uptake by muscle and stimulation of glycogeno, glyconeogenesis by hepatocytes are due to the direct actions on the target tissues. Whereas many long-term effects of growth hormone are mediated by somatomedins, that is IGF-1 and IGF-2 produced by it. Growth promoting effects are also part of the direct effects of growth hormone. So this diagram shows the direct and indirect effects of the growth hormone. The direct effects mainly occurs on the epiphyseal growth, that which leads to linear growth, uh, and the skeletal muscle growth by increasing the protein synthesis. It increases the visceral size. On metabolism, it decreases the glucose uptake, increases the gluconeogenesis, increases the lipolysis, whereas it is going to decrease the insulin sensitivity. So thus it acts like a diabetogenic hormone, growth hormone, whereas the indirect actions are mainly mediated through the IGF-1 or somatomedin C. Okay. So where they leads to epiphyseal growth, uh, the visceral growth, they leads to epiphyseal growth, visceral growth, and metabolism. They are going to prevent the lipolysis and increase protein synthesis. Opposite to that of growth hormone, and they exert insulin-like activity, and they acts like, anti-diabetic hormone. Hypersecretion of growth hormone leads to acromegaly. Acromegaly means enlargement of the acral parts of the body. Acromegaly is derived from the Greek word that's acrome, which means top, and megas means large. Hypersecretion of growth hormone after the fusion of epiphysis results in acromegaly. Acromegaly occurs due to a tumor of the somatotrophs of anterior pituitary. Usually, the tumor of somatotrophs is associated with proliferation of lactotrophs also. Therefore, prolactin secretion is increased in 20 to 40% of the patient. Acromegaly can also occur due to extrapituitary causes like increased hypothalamic secretion of GRH, that is in case of hypothalamic tumors. Coming to features, then there can be enlargement of the acral parts of the body, especially of hands and feet. Prognathism, that is protrusion of the lower jaw. Acromegalic faces, where there is an overgrowth of malar, frontal, and facial bones, and increased amount of body hair and osteoarthritis due to the skeletal changes. So there will be glucose intolerance, hirsutism, gynecomastia, and lactation, and visual field defect changes that we can see. The bitemporal hemianopia are the common features. So there can be visceromegaly, where there will be increase in the size in the viscera and the functions of viscera. There will be enlargement of the acral parts of the skeletal deformities occur as the bones enlarge in width. Bones cannot grow in length as epiphyses are already closed. The visual defects are due to the effect of pituitary tumor that enlarges the sella turcica and compresses on optic chiasma. So this also causes headache. Okay. So these are some of the acromegalic features. Okay, so where you can see frontal bossing, prominent supraorbital ridges, papilledema, bitemporal hemianopia, okay, hyperglycemia, hepatic enlargement, osteoarthritis, okay, and there can be testicular atrophy, proximal myopathy, there can be spade-like hands, there can be hypertension, there can be horse-wise, okay, and there can be macroglossia. Okay, so these are some of the features of acromegaly. The disease is diagnosed by typical clinical presentation, demonstration of pituitary tumor by CT scan or MRI, and demonstration of high growth hormone levels in plasma by estimation of the hormone. Surgical removal of the tumor is the best option to cure the disease. Gigantism. Hypersecretion of the growth hormone before fusion of epiphysis results in gigantism. The causes are the pituitary tumor during the childhood resulting in increased growth hormone secretion causes gigantism. Hypothalamic tumor causing excess of GRH secretion can also produce the disease. Features are increased growth hormone secretion before the closure of epiphysis increases the epiphyseal growth of the long bones. Therefore, the patient becomes abnormally tall with giant stature. The other features are same as acromegaly except for the acromegalic faces. So this is the diagram showing case of gigantism and the pituitary dwarf when compared to the normal boy. The disease is diagnosed typically based on the clinical presentation, demonstration of pituitary tumor by CT scan or MRI, and demonstration of high levels of growth hormone in plasma, and surgical removal of the tumor is cures the disease. Hyposecretion can result in dwarfism. There may be 4 causes. One is a decreased GRH deficiency, that is hypothalamic failure. There can be decreased growth hormone secretion because of the pituitary failure, or decreased IGF synthesis by the liver as seen in African pygmies, and decreased or unresponsive growth hormone receptor, that is you see in case of Laron dwarfism. Pituitary dwarf is characterized by short stature and correspondingly delayed bone and sexual maturation. Decreased muscle and total body mass, decreased cardiac function, and decreased bone density are very common. Mental power relatively remains normal in pituitary dwarf, which helps in differentiating from thyroid dwarf, in whom mental retardation is an outstanding feature. It is diagnosed by low levels of growth hormone or IGF-1 levels in plasma. The pituitary dwarfism is treated by administration of growth hormone preparations. Other hormones like prolactin, which are secreted from anterior pituitary, the prolactin is a hormone uh, that helps in the formation of the milk. The prolactin is secreted from the lactotrophs of the anterior pituitary, which constitutes around 10 to 25% of the total secreting cells of the gland. It is a polypeptide hormone containing 198 amino acids with a molecular weight of 23,000. It has a considerable structure similarity with that of growth hormone. Prolactin is synthesized like other peptide hormones, that is pre-prolactin that forms pro-prolactin, which finally forms prolactin. So this is how the prolactin is regulated. Secretion is regulated by a feedback mechanism, where the the prolactin factor or thyroid releasing hormone increases the production of prolactin from the anterior pituitary. Okay, so the increased prolactin in turn is going to uh, stimulate the hypothalamus. So this is how the prolactin is produced. Okay, so the mechanism of action. Okay, it is going to increase the JAK-STAT pathway, and in turn it is going to affect the mRNA production, and it increases the lactose and the lipid synthesis. The primary function of prolactin is to stimulate milk synthesis and secretion. So therefore the name prolactin. Therefore prolactin secretion increases during lactation. Prolactin causes hyperplasia of the breast tissue before and after puberty. It also causes hyperplasia of the breast tissue during pregnancy and lactation. Together with the estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, and growth hormone, it stimulates the development, that is, the branching and proliferation of the duct of female mammary gland. Along with estrogen and progesterone, especially during pregnancy, it increases the lobules of alveoli of the mammary gland, in which the milk is produced. In females, the prolactin concentration in plasma inhibits hypothalamic GnRH secretion. Therefore, the concentration of LH and FSH decreases during lactation. This prevents ovulation and causes amenorrhea in lactating mothers. So this is called as lactational menorrhea. Prolactin also controls some of the reproductive behaviors such as inhibition of libido in human beings and stimulation of the maternal behavior, that is love, affection and protective behavior of the mother towards the newborns. In male, prolactin decreases the spermatogenesis. Other hormone is thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone is a glycoprotein hormone that controls the growth and function of thyroid gland. It mainly controls the secretion of thyroid hormones, especially T4 and T3. So it has two subunits, alpha and beta. The subunit is a non-specific, as it is similar to the structure with that of LH and FSH, because it is derived from the same gene for these hormones. It contains 96 amino acids. Beta subunit contains 110 amino acids, and it provides specificity to TSH. The molecular weight of TSH is around 28,000 Daltons. Thyroid stimulating hormone is secreted from the thyrotrophs of anterior pituitary and accounts for 3 to 5% of the cell population of the gland. These cells develop at about 13 weeks of gestation. The fetal thyroid gland starts secreting hormones in response to TSH almost during the same time in pregnancy. Like other peptide hormones, TSH is synthesized from pre-hormone, which is converted to prohormone. The alpha and beta subunits are synthesized separately from separate mRNA molecules. The TSH molecule is stored in the secretory granules of thyrotropes. Thyrotropes normally synthesize more alpha subunits and beta subunits, therefore, secretory granules of thyrotropes contain extra alpha subunits along with TSH, which is released into circulation along with the hormone at the time of secretion. The normal plasma concentration of TSH is around 0.3 to 5 microunits per ml. The secretion of TSH mainly controlled by two factors, that is TRH secreted from the hypothalamus is a major stimulant. Somatostatin released from hypothalamus inhibits TSH secretion. Secretion of TRH inhibited by T3 and T4 secreted from the thyroid gland by negative feedback mechanism. Dopamine, another hypothalamic hormone, also inhibits TSH secretion. This is the feedback regulation of the TSH. Okay, so the thyroid glands which produce T3, T4, they inhibits production of TSH by negative feedback mechanism. TSH facilitates iodide uptake and its organification in the thyroid gland. Iodide trapping is increased in few hours of TSH injections. It enhances the intramolecular coupling, that is coupling reaction and thyroglobulin synthesis and secretion into the colloid. It stimulates release of thyroid hormones and iodotyrosin from the gland. It promotes endocytosis of colloids. It increases the blood flow to the thyroid gland. It also causes growth and hypertrophy of the thyroid gland. Decreased secretion of TSH due to pituitary disease results in thyroid atrophy and decreased secretion of the thyroid hormones, which is called as secondary hyperthyroidism or hypopituitary hypothyroidism. However, in primary hypothyroidism, blood levels of TSH is high due to the feedback mechanism. In chronic increase in the TSH secretion results in hypertrophy of the thyroid gland, which is called as goiter. In primary hyperthyroidism, blood levels of TSH are low. Estimation of TSH helps in differentiating subclinical hypothyroidism and clinical hypothyroidism, where the TSH levels are more than 10 microunits per ml. Adrenocorticotrophic hormone. So this hormone is secreted from corticotrophs of the anterior pituitary that constitute around 10 to 20% of the total cell population. ACTH is the smallest peptide hormone of the anterior pituitary containing 39 amino acids. It has a molecular weight of 4500 daltons. Like other peptide hormones, ACTH is synthesized as a prohormone. It is synthesized in the corticotrophs as a larger molecule called as promelanocortin, POMC, which cleaves to form beta lipotrophin ACTH in human beings. In other species, POMC also forms beta endorphins. In the intermediate lobe of pituitary, POMC forms alpha MSH, that is melanocyte stimulating hormone, especially in lower vertebrates. Intermediate lobe is rudimentary in humans. However, in humans, ACTH contains alpha MSH sequence at its end terminal and therefore it possesses the intrinsic alpha MSH activity. So this is how different hormones are produced from the POMC, that is melanocortin. Okay, so one of the fragment forms the ACTH, the beta lipotrophin forms the gamma lipoproteins and beta endorphins. Okay, so ACTH produces the alpha MSH as well. So this is the diurnal variation in the secretion of adrenocorticotrophic hormone. It increases early in the morning, okay, and also during the noon. The adrenocorticotrophic hormone secretion from anterior pituitary is controlled by various factors. However, the primary factor controlling ACTH secretion is CRH, which is secreted from the hypothalamus. Many factors influence ACTH secretion by regulating CRH secretion from hypothalamus. Corticotropin releasing hormone, in addition to its stimulation of ACTH secretion, It also stimulates the sympathetic activity, increases blood pressure, and activates brainstem reticular activating system and leads to arousal. Also, ADH is an important regulator of ACTH secretion. Okay, so in this diagram you can see how ADH and CRH, they're important factors which are going to increase ACTH secretion, and ACTH in turn by negative feedback mechanism and cortisol by negative feedback mechanism, they control the levels of ACTH. Adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulates synthesis and secretion of cortisol and other steroid hormones from adrenal cortex by stimulating growth specific zone of the adrenal cortex. Adrenocorticotropic hormone increases the adrenocortical secretion by producing hypertrophy rather than hyperplasia of adrenal cells. The impact of ACTH is more on glucocorticoid secretion than the other steroids. Adrenocorticotropic hormone has an intrinsic MSH activity, therefore it stimulates growth and activity of melanocytes. So this results in hyperpigmentation of the skin due to increased synthesis of melanin. The receptor for ACTH are also present in GI tract, brain, and where it acts as a local neurotransmitter. The adrenocorticotropic hormone influences the immunity by controlling the secretion of cytokines and lymphocytes. The cytokines also stimulate ACTH secretion. Luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone are called as gonadotropins, as they regulate growth of development of the gonad, prepubertal maturation and secretion of sex steroids. They both are produced from the same gonadotrophs. They are separate genes that code the synthesis of alpha and beta subunits of gonadotropins. The addition of carbohydrate moiety to the molecules allow variation in the biological activity of LH and FSH in different conditions. The LH and FH is regulated by feedback inhibition through the gonadal hormones such as estrogen, testosterone, activin, inhibin, and folliculostatin. Testosterone in male and estrogen in females provide negative feedback signal to inhibit the gonadotropin secretion from anterior pituitary. Inhibin, a hormone secreted from gonads, inhibits the GnRH and gonadotropin secretion. Activin, which is structurally similar to the inhibin, stimulates the FSH synthesis and secretion. Folliculostatin inhibits FSH secretion. So this is how the LH and FSH are negatively, by negative feedback mechanism, they are controlled by the many hormones like activin, inhibin, folliculostatin, and primarily by estrogen and progesterone. The follicular stimulating hormone stimulates the granulosa cells of the ovary and Sertoli cells of the testis to synthesize and secrete inhibin B. The follicular stimulating hormone controls oogenesis and spermatogenesis. The luteinizing hormone stimulates the theca cells of the ovary and Leydig cells of the testis to secrete estrogen and testosterone respectively. Sudden increase in the LH concentration, the LH surge in the middle of the menstrual cycle is essential for ovulation. Okay, so this is all about some of the functions of the anterior pituitary. Thank you.